Hey everyone, it's Tony. In this video, we'll be looking at an easy level SQL interview question asked by LinkedIn called Data Science Skills. The general idea of this question is that we have a company and it's trying to hire a candidate for an open data science job. And the company only wants to interview the candidates who are proficient in at least Python, Tableau, PostgreSQL. So if someone possesses, say, these three skills on their resume, but more, we still want to interview them. But if someone only possesses, say, one or two or none of these skills, we don't want to interview them. So here the question, we're given a table called candidates, and here we see the schema. They have two columns, a candidate ID and a skill. And basically this candidate ID is an integer where each candidate ID represents one person. So 1, 2, 3 would represent one candidate, whereas 2, 3, 4 would represent another candidate. And the skills are of type varchar. We see Python, Tableau, PostgreSQL, R, and a bunch of other technologies listed here. And here we see the example output is just one table consisting of candidate ID 1, 2, 3, because in this candidates table, only candidate 1, 2, 3 has all three of these skills listed right here. And you see 2, 3, 4, we don't have any of them. And 3, 4, 5 only possesses the skills of Python and Tableau, but not PostgreSQL. So how do we solve this problem? Well, first we want to filter down the candidates with only these three skills or more. So we can select from the candidates table their candidate ID, where their skills are in this tuple of three skills. In this case, Python, Tableau, and PostgreSQL. And by doing this, we can see all the candidate IDs in this website's test table that possess at least one of these skills. Because in this skill column, if any record here satisfies this condition, we take the candidate ID. That's basically what this query is doing. So we see lots of rows here. And the next thing you should think is, because the final output only contains candidate IDs, unique candidate IDs, we should immediately think of using the group by clause, grouping by the candidate ID. And what am I curious about after grouping by the candidate ID? The amount of skills they possess that are in this tuple. So we can select a count of the skill, and we can alias that as skill count. So if we run the code, we can see now the output has candidate IDs where each record is unique and represents a unique candidate, and the amount of skills they possess that are in Python, Tableau, or PostgreSQL. So we can see immediately that, for example, candidate 168 only possesses one of those skills, so we don't want to interview that candidate. So having that said, what's the last thing we need to add to this query? We can use having, where we count the number of skills, and if they equal to 3, we want to interview them. So we see that the final result needs only a table of candidate IDs. So in that case, we don't need to select the skill count. And if we run this code, there's an error. Oh, right, group by needs to come before having. So if we run this code, we can see the last two candidate IDs that we saw that had a count of 3 were listed here. But the question also wants us to, let's see, sort the output by candidate ID in ascending order. And by that, we can just do order by candidate ID, and our job is done. Because order by default, orders by ascending order. If we want to do descending order, it would be this. So we run the code, and we see the same thing, but in many other test cases, there might be a switch in the ordering. One thing I did want to mention is that, let's say we do have a candidate with skills in Python, Tableau, and PostgreSQL, but also many other things. This query would also select that because the records that show after this where clause will only be exactly 3, because the other skills of that candidate will not show up or just be omitted and not be part of this count. So we can submit this and see that our solution was accepted. And that's about it. Thanks for watching. Consider commenting, and subscribing, and I'll see you guys later.